Hi everyone, the Herzl Center, the IDF Collection House Museum, Holocaust survivors' artwork in the Knesset, the Alexander River, and Yad Sarah's mobile exhibit today on Israeli Salad. So don't go anywhere. We'll be starting in 23 seconds. Shalom and welcome to Israeli Salad. The State of Israel declared the 10th of the month of Iyar as Herzl Day, as this day is the birthday of Binyamin Ze'ev Herzl, the visionary of Zionism. Herzl coined the phrase Im tirtzu ein zu agada, if you will, it is no fairy tale, which became the motto of the Zionist movement. $3 million were invested in building the Herzl Center, an official museum commemorating Herzl's contribution to the establishment of the State of Israel. We visited the Herzl Center, an interactive museum where the story of Herzl is being taught to the next generation.
The goal of the Herzl Center is to present Herzl not only as a towering historical figure with all that he contributed to the history of Zionism, but also as a visionary whose vision remains relevant and compelling even in our own day.
In the multimedia display at the Herzl Center, visitors accompany a young actor who is learning about the visionary of Zionism. This young actor is preparing for a play in which he will be playing the role of Herzl. The display begins by raising the topic of anti-Semitism. In 1894, Captain Alfred Dreyfus, a Jewish officer in the French army, was falsely accused of treason, mainly because of the prevailing anti-Semitic atmosphere. This story and many other incidents of anti-Semitism brought Herzl to the understanding that there was only one solution: the mass immigration of Jews to a land they could call their own.
Herzl's primary success was that he managed to put the whole matter of a Jewish state for the Jewish people on the international agenda.
After learning of the different reactions to Herzl's ideas, we proceed to a recreation of the hall in Basel, Switzerland, where the first Zionist Congress took place. Herzl convened the Zionist Congress 6 times between 1897 and 1902. In this hall, we learn about Herzl's plans to actualize his vision. According to Herzl's plans, the Jewish state could not begin by a small group of pioneers who will arrive in the country. Rather, the plan must be supported by leading nations, and the Jews should immigrate to their land only after receiving a charter. To receive this charter, Herzl traveled to the land of Israel, to Istanbul, to Germany, to Russia, and to Great Britain. But the only concrete offer Herzl received was the proposal of the British to establish a Jewish autonomous region in East Africa, in Uganda. In 1905, the Zionist movement at the 7th Zionist Congress rejected this offer. And so the display in the Herzl Center draws out the point that while Herzl's vision succeeded, his method failed.
Had the Zionist movement taken Herzl's approach and indeed cut off the migration until such time as we had a charter, we might not be standing here talking today. When the Balfour Declaration came about, I think that in part it came about because we already had a serious yishuv, a serious settlement of Jews already living in the land.
Herzl died in Vienna in 1904 of pneumonia and a weak heart, overworked by his relentless efforts on behalf of Zionism. By then, the movement he founded was already part of the world's political map. Next to a video that shows how Herzl's gravesite was moved to Israel in 1949, visitors can see a reconstruction of Herzl's room that consists of genuine personal items that belong to Herzl.
Well, this is really his desk, his chair, the cups, everything you see on the table, the furniture all around it. They were all things that were taken from his home. The importance of this room is the sense that there was a very real person that stands behind this whole Zionist idea. We're trying to present Herzl as a real character.
The display ends in a small theater hall where our actor practices the final act of the play. In this act, the actor brings Herzl to our time, and he compares between his vision and the present situation. This comparison gives the visitors feelings of pride and gratification, together with a feeling that there is a lot that must be improved and fixed.
The same questions that occupied Herzl continue to occupy us today. The question of anti-Semitism and our response to it, personal journeys of Jewish identity, what impacts on who we are as individuals and as Jews, the relationship between the Jewish community and the host society.
In the state that I wrote about, there was no need for an army. But in reality, you were forced to battle again and again. And it's not over yet. In my book, modern technology was victorious. But even I didn't imagine the abundance of Israel's high tech. I'm sure that many of you don't know that when I wrote my book, there was a debate whether the Jews deserved a land of their own. Now it's clear to everyone that we are an independent nation among the nations of the world. We went from being a persecuted minority to becoming a nation with a state, and that was worth it all.
It's important to mention that there are many aspects about Herzl that are controversial, like his position on Jerusalem, Hebrew, and Jewish tradition. So in order to understand the whole picture of Herzl, it's recommended to contact the center in advance and coordinate a 3-hour to 3-day-long seminar in which you can learn about the history of the Zionist movement from Herzl until today. In 1959, Defense Minister David Ben-Gurion decided to establish the IDF Museum to portray the emergence of the Jewish fighting forces and the struggle of the Jewish people for existence in the land of Israel. In the early 60s, the collection of weaponry and combat vehicles began. The pieces were stored in structures near the old railway station in Jaffa. Gradually, the site was turned into what is today the IDF Collection House Museum. Here are some of the exhibits featured in this museum. The significance of the IDF Collection Museum is much more than just the quantity and diversity of the collected items. What makes this museum so special is the stories of bravery and courage that each collection conveys. Thanks to the brave warriors who operated the equipment, and with the help of God, the Jewish nation has a state. These armored vehicles were used by the forces that transported supplies through hostile Arab-controlled areas along the road to the besieged Jerusalem. Some of the armored vehicles from those days were placed on the side of the Jerusalem-Tel Aviv highway. In the museum, you can also see the half-track vehicle that entered the old city of Jerusalem through the Gate of Lions in the Six-Day War. The museum also holds a large collection of weapons. Many of them, like the Uzi, were manufactured in Israel. And this was how the soldiers looked in the War of Independence. In the Chiefs of Staff booth, you can learn about the history of the IDF's Chiefs of Staff and understand the meaning of each Medal of Honor. Enemy ammunition is displayed here as well, like Soviet anti-aircraft missiles and the Qassam missiles that are used today by Arab terrorists. One of the greatest Israeli developments is displayed here as well, the Merkava tank. The Knesset, Israel's parliament, on Monday, May 16th, marked 60 years since the end of World War II. In honor of this occasion, the Knesset hosted a small art exhibit presenting artwork from a larger exhibition from the Ghetto's Fighters House Museum. The exhibit is called Resistance Through Paintbrush and Pencil. The collection in the museum presents paintings, drawings, and sculptures directly connected to the heritage of the Holocaust and the resistance. The collection has two main goals: to show the Jewish people's deep hidden talent and spirit, which existed even in the horrific era of the Holocaust, and to remember the artists themselves.
It's an expression of the resistance and the struggle of the spirit of man against the Nazi beast. We feel a great importance in having this art collection in the corridors of the Knesset, which is the expression of democracy of the State of Israel. The Knesset is a house of speech, but it's also a house in which feelings and history can be expressed in another way, through art.
The art collections of 3 artists, all Holocaust survivors, were chosen to be presented in the Knesset. Artist Esther Luria depicted life in the Kovno ghetto and the women prisoners in the Stohov camp. Artist Yehuda Bakon was a boy in Terezin in Auschwitz, and he portrayed through his art the horrors he witnessed there. Artist Alexander Bogin was a partisan warrior who fought in the forest of Naroks. In his art, he brings out characters that took part in the resistance and struggle against all odds.
Please send your comments, ideas, and questions to the Israeli Salad email, yoni@israelnn.com, or leave a message on the Israeli Salad voicemail at international dialing code 972-3918-5554. That's 972-3918-5554.
And now pack up your picnic bag, because we're off on another tour of a nature site in Israel. This time David Miller takes us to the Alexander River.
Named after the Hasmonean king Alexander Yoni, the Alexander River won an international prize for river rehabilitation. The waters of the river are clean, but not yet suitable for bathing or drinking. Today you can find a vibrant world of nature, wildlife, and this rare turtle. These soft-shell Nile turtles can reach 1.5 meters in length and weigh up to 50 kilos, or 120 pounds. The largest grouping of this kind of turtles, who mainly eat fish, is right here in the Alexander River. As part of the reclamation project, for the first time in history, visitors are going to be able to walk along this path, view the river, nature, and all the wildlife that has come back. This new path is suitable for bikes as well as wheelchairs, and along the path you can stop by one of the many picnic tables on the grass. While there are certainly manicured, clean, nice new facilities here, there's also some spots that are a little off the beaten path that allow for some personal reflection. Do all rivers flow to the sea? Well, not all rivers. As we can see here, there is a sandbar that sometimes blocks the Alexander River from continuing directly into the Mediterranean. Only in the winter and early spring is this breached, allowing the water to flow directly into the sea. Well, we've come to the end of our journey today. We've gone from turtle shells to seashells. We're standing here at the very spot where the Alexander River meets the ocean. This is one of the most beautiful spots I've ever seen in Israel. I suggest you come and visit it. For Israeli Salad, I'm David Miller. Be sure to visit the Israeli Salad website. On the Israeli Salad site, scroll through all the editions, see what topics were presented on each program, and simply click on the icon to watch your favorite program. Also, watch all our fantastic music videos featured right here on Israeli Salad. So be sure to click on www.israelnationaltv.com/salad.htm. That's www.israelnationaltv.com/salad.htm.
The Aid 2005 exhibition took place in the Israel Convention Center in Tel Aviv between May 16th and May 18th. The purpose of the exhibition was to present the variety of equipment, treatments, and therapies that can help the day-to-day life of the disabled. One of the stands belonged to the Yad Sarah volunteer organization. In their mobile exhibit, Yad Sarah presented a variety of solutions to be used in homes of people with permanent or temporary disabilities. It was nice to see how, in addition to standard equipment, it's sometimes the small adjustments and gadgets that can help someone overcome many of life's difficulties.
Here we have a low kitchen. There's no need for a ladder. It's accessible. The sink area is usable even for someone in a wheelchair. Here we have a simple device for someone who needs to cut an orange or a tomato with only one hand. I stick the orange here, and then, with one hand, I can cut it. Sometimes there's a problem that food falls from a plate. So we have a simple installation that we place here on the plate, and with it one can eat without the food falling. Sometimes there's a need to put on socks without being able to bend over, whether it's a pregnant woman or someone with back problems or other limitations. For this problem, we have this device. You put the sock on the device. All this is done standing up. And then I put the sock on my foot like this. And now, to take off the sock, I have this device, this wonder stick, that can do many things, including take off socks. This is indeed a simple plastic chair, but it's a very practical and comfortable solution for the shower. An elderly person, or a person who has trouble standing up, should use this for his safety.
And now our weekly insight this week will be discussing the last parsha of the book of Vayikra, the portion of the week of Bechukotai. Shalom to Rabbi David Sampson in Jerusalem.
Shalom Yoni, shalom to all of our viewers around the world.
In the parsha there's a detailed list of blessings and punishments, and it says that if you observe the mitzvot you will receive this list of blessings, and if you don't you will receive this list of punishments. Now we know that no one ever really knows exactly what each action is really worth in the eyes of God, and that one should never say that he understands why things happen. So what are we supposed to learn from this parsha?
Well, I'll tell you. There are two concepts. One concept that there is reward and punishment for every deed. This is a basic axiom and precept and basic principle of Judaism. The idea that you're not supposed to know exactly what punishment is for what sin is not a principle. And that actually if a person looks, he's supposed to actually see that something happened to him. Maybe it's a result of that. And he's supposed to really assume that if he got punished, there's a reason for it, and to go soul-searching. And he is supposed to be introspective and try to guess to the best of his capability of which punishment is coming for which sin.
And how about the idea expressed in the Mishnah that one should not serve God expecting a reward? Doesn't this parsha contradict this idea?
Yoni, we're not really supposed to do anything because we will receive a reward. But it doesn't mean that we won't receive a reward. We're not supposed to do anything because we'll receive a punishment. But it doesn't mean that we're not going to receive a punishment. Obviously, the person who does things for an altruistic cause, and he worships God because he is in love with God and he believes that this is the right thing to do, that's obviously the highest level. But even someone who worships God for the reward in this world or the next world, or fear of punishment in this world or the next world, is also to be condoned, because that's also a level of worship.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Sampson.
The Weekly Insight is brought to you in cooperation with Machon Meir, the largest Zionist institute in Israel, bringing people closer to Judaism.
Okay, that's all for this week. Join us again next week for another edition. Until then, from all of us here at Israel National News, Shalom.